Hello and welcome to the Guitar Hang Podcast. I'm your host, Jon Stankorb. Well, it's Season 10, Episode 7, and today's guest is Frank Hannon, guitarist for the legendary rock band Tesla. Frank has a brand new instrumental album out called Reflections, a country western infused project that explores a different side of his playing. His latest single, San Francisco, features a beautiful video with original hand-played oil light visuals created by the Brotherhood of Light Show. And today's episode is sponsored in part by the Woodshed Guitar Experience. If you've ever wanted to spend a few days immersed in guitars, music, and learning from some incredible players, this is an amazing event to check out. Listeners of the Guitar Hang podcast can use the promo code GuitarHang300 to receive $300 off the admission price. Well, we're going to talk about Frank's new record, his musical journey, and plenty of great guitar stories along the way. So sit back and enjoy my conversation with Frank Hannon. How's it going, Frank?
It's going pretty good. How are you?
Just got done checking out This Is Goodbye. Man, what a beautiful tune. Really well done.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, that one really came about. The whole record actually came about pretty naturally, but that one just flowed out. And I had been fooling around with those A minor chords and that vibe, sitting on the couch, just strumming it for a while. But 5 a.m, I couldn't sleep, and I got up and just recorded that whole take, pretty much in just maybe a 10-minute session, just each track one after the other.
Beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, sometimes the inspiration that will come to you when you least expect it, it's a beautiful thing when it just arrives, right?
Yeah. And the trick is, as a musician, is recognizing when it's happening and then giving it the chance to happen without getting sidetracked,
Right.
There was a period of time there when I was making the Reflections record where ideas were just coming, and my wife was really supportive, and she just let me, she knew she would encourage me, go in there and record that. Don't forget that, So that was
Right.
cool to get that support. 'Cause she was recognizing that flow was happening at that time.
Yeah.
But that particular song, This Is Goodbye, was recorded like when the sun was first coming up, and we had just gotten up, and she was leaving for the airport, and I was just feeling that feeling of how that song projects that emotion.
Yeah.
But so thanks for mentioning that song.
Yeah. That's the first one I've been able to check out. I know that I think this Friday's another release. Is that correct? A new release from the album, perhaps?
Yeah, my next release is going to be for another song that came spontaneously on the recording end of it. It's called San Francisco.
Yeah.
And it's my tribute to the music that I was influenced by that came from San Francisco in the late 60s, called the San Francisco Sound. And in particular, there's a band called It's a Beautiful Day.
Yeah. Okay.
And that song on my record, San Francisco, was really inspired by the way David LaFlame plays the violin. And I was taking that approach on the guitar.
Yeah. Like nice long legato lines, and to kind of emulate that vibe.
Yeah, there's a song by It's a Beautiful Day called Whitebird.
Whitebird.
And
okay.
It's just very hypnotic. And when I was a kid, that album was on like heavy rotation on my mom's turntable,
Yeah.
So it really influenced me a lot.
Yeah. As a young musician, or anybody that was brought up in that area, it was such a fertile period of time for the music that was coming out of that area, but equally the musical acts that you were able to experience, at the Fillmore West or whatever venue there was, all the groups came through there. So to the musicians that I know, or some of the folks that I've had the pleasure of talking to that grew up in the Northern California area, just speak of what a beautiful thing it was to be brought up in that area. It was, such a melting pot of different influences. You had obviously the psychedelic sound, but you had, Zeppelin coming through and Miles Davis and B.B. King and Albert King coming through the Fillmore and all those different venues in Northern California. So what a wonderful thing to be exposed to as a young player.
Yeah, there was a venue called Winterland that was famous, and Bill Graham was the icon who really helped so many of these bands. And he was from San Francisco, and I have a poster upstairs. See, now we're from Sacramento, which is an hour and a half east of San Francisco. So for us, going to San Francisco was like going to the big city. It was very exciting. If you wanted to find something like a Les Paul guitar that you couldn't find in Sacramento, well, we'd have to go down to San Francisco to look for it.
Yeah.
But I have a poster upstairs from the San Francisco Bay Area Music Awards, and it's got Bill Graham right in the center of it, and it's got everyone from Santana, the Grateful Dead, Metallica, and Tesla is up on the top right-hand corner up in the Sacramento area. But I'm honored to be on that poster and to have been part of the Northern California music scene because it's so diverse.
Oh, yeah. Steve
Miller, Sammy Hagar,
Joe Satriani,
so many great guitarists. So Neil Sean, Journey, Quicksilver Messenger Service, Big Brother and the Holding Company. And one of the major influences for me when I was a kid was the Monterey Pop Festival. They had made a movie out of it about 10 years after the original festival. Now, in 1967, I was only a year old, so I obviously didn't go to that concert. But I went to the movie in 1976. My mom took me to see it at the J Street Cinema. And that concert had Country Joe and the Fish, Janis Joplin, the Grateful Dead, Otis Redding, and of course, Jimi Hendrix and the Who, all documented in that film. And I've been back to Monterey as an adult. I've gone there just to walk in that stadium and just soak it all in and go, wow, this is where it happened right here. Such an iconic concert.
I think it's brilliant that you're able to, there's things that you bring to the table when you're in a band, like different influences, and everybody in your group, and Tesla has different influences, I'm sure, but it's really exciting when you hear of somebody that's in a legacy group that is able to go off and do something that truly represents where they are in their core, and pulling all those influences and getting it out there and just saying, okay, this really is a great representation of who I am as an artist and where I am at this moment in time. It's a great document as to where you are at this moment and what those influences mean to you.
Yeah, well, thank you for recognizing that. That is one of the things about doing stuff outside of your band is you can experiment and you can create all the different things that you love. That I do bring those elements to Tesla. If you listen to some of the Tesla music, it's pretty diverse. There's some country elements, and there's some octaves that I borrowed from Wes Montgomery, and things like that. I've listened to jazz. I listen to all kinds of different styles, and I try to learn bits and pieces from all the different styles that you can learn in music, not just guitar, but I listen to horn players, Dizzy Gillespie. I enjoy listening to all these different styles and then taking elements of them and putting them into my own style on the guitar, and have brought that into Tesla as well, but definitely more so as a solo artist. You can get outside of the structure of a band, and you can improvise, which the art of improvising and jamming and creating off the top of your head without a structure is a fascinating art form that I love and get to do outside of the band structure, jamming and improvising. And this song, San Francisco, actually that version that's on the record that I'm putting out was started off with me improvising on this bass,
Oh, wow. Nice.
an SG bass, and
Yeah.
just I could hear it in my head. I knew I wanted to do something that sounded similar to White Rabbit,
Yeah.
so I just started plucking away on some boom, 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 boom on the bass,
Yeah.
and recorded it, the bass track on what you're hearing on San Francisco. I recorded the bass track all in one take, about 4 minutes. The key to improvising is don't stop.
Right.
Even if you make a mistake, just keep going.
Keep going. That's
And
right.
I've learned over the years that actually in recording as well, even if you think you messed up, don't stop, keep going.
Keep going.
And then
Right.
listen back to it and give it a chance. And then you go, wow, that mistake actually sounded kind of cool. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. There's something
So
special about that. Yeah. Just letting it stream of thought, consciousness, just letting it go.
letting it flow, and the improvisation, and the jamming, like even some of the greatest live albums, from back in the day, like Frampton Comes Alive,
Oh, yeah.
the Do You Feel Like We Do, that whole 12-minute song, I think that take was probably not the same as it was the night before. I'm thinking
Right.
it was a lot of jamming, and Peter Frampton does a lot of jamming, and of course Grateful Dead
Hmm.
and artists like the Allman Brothers, they improvise a lot, and I love that. It's so fun to do. And
Yeah.
yeah, so on San Francisco, I improvised that bass line for 4 minutes.
Okay.
I told myself, no matter what happens, don't stop.
Yeah.
And I played it, and I listened back to it. And in the middle of the improvising, in the middle of the song, I go into like a samba beat, because I've been listening to this band called Krungbin. Have you heard of them?
No, Krung, CR.
Krungbin,
Okay.
Khrungbin, Krungbin, and they're a trio, and their bass
Okay.
player is just so great. And so I was thinking, okay, I'm going to do a little Jack Cassidy here for a few minutes, and then I'm going to go into some Krungbin. And
Yeah.
so after I laid down that bass on San Francisco, I listened back to it, and I was going, okay, now I'm going to add some guitar, and
Hmm.
just immediately switched to the track. I have a little multi-track thing on my cell phone.
Oh,
The
nice.
whole thing was done on my cell phone with a little multi-track recording software app that I bought.
Nice. That's very cool. Is it Audigo? Is that the one you're using?
Yes, it's called
Yeah.
Audigo,
Yeah. Yeah. I
and it
use that
comes with
as
a
well.
little
It's
microphone.
brilliant. I mean, yeah, I recently got turned on to that. It's a fabulous tool, and it sounds amazing, and it really allows you to capture some great ideas just without a lot of effort.
Yeah, yeah, and it sounds really good. And I don't know if the way I used it is the way they intended it to be used. I used it as a multi-track thing where I can overdub myself on there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know a lot of people use Audigo to capture live video
Hmm.
and for social media, and because you can create videos at the same time with it.
Yeah.
But I used it where you could actually add multiple tracks and overdub
Yeah.
on this latest record. And I would only do like 4 or 5 tracks. I would do a bass track, an acoustic guitar track, maybe another acoustic track on the other side to give it some stereo sound, and then
Hmm.
a lead guitar track.
Yeah.
And I would keep it really sparse. I'm talking about on my Reflections album, the
Yeah.
latest one. And what I did is, if you can see right there, there's a little Fender.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
got all these amps, right? But the best
Yeah.
sounding one is that little
The little
Fender right
fender.
there.
Yeah.
It's a little Fender Deluxe reverb.
Perfect.
And I put the Audigo mic in front of that and literally recorded the bass, recorded the solos, recorded everything just with that. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
The most simplistic way of recording, and it allowed me to capture how I was feeling with the song ideas rather than getting super anal in the computer.
Yeah. 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 Was that did all of that end up on the final thing, or did that form just like the skeleton of the tune, or what of the stuff that you
No, I
did on that?
used it from start to finish. I
Oh,
used
wow,
the
that's
cell phone
fantastic.
app.
That's
I
awesome.
I did not want to open the door of importing the tracks
Yeah,
into Pro Tools and editing and copying
yeah,
and doing it. I
yeah,
wanted to avoid that completely. And I was very satisfied with the tone that the
yeah,
Audigo app and microphone was producing.
yeah,
And so I just kept it all in the app on my phone. And I ended up with 11 what I considered pretty decent, diverse ideas of guitar songs,
yeah,
um, ranging from Walk in the Rain to San Francisco to an acoustic ditty that I wrote for my kitty cat. Her name's Monkey Kitty. It's like a Merle Travis thing.
yeah, yeah,
And I wanted an equal amount of songs, 12 songs. So I took the Audigo app with me on a Monsters of Rock cruise that Tesla was doing. And I just holed up in my cabin and looked out at the ocean and recorded the final song on my cell phone and kept it there. And then went to a studio in Nashville, took it straight from my cell phone. The engineer said, "Hey, can you turn the bass down a little bit on this song?" I opened up my cell phone and
yeah.
adjusted it, emailed him the track, texted it to him right there on the spot, and it
Yeah.
went straight to the vinyl. It was
That's
amazing.
I love hearing that. That's such a beautiful thing because it's so easy to get mired in the computer and Pro Tools and compressors and limit. Oh, I love stories like that because that's the true it the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. You know, your idea, your hands into the thing, and you got it. That's
Yes,
beautiful.
there's something to be said about having minimal
Yeah.
options to choose from.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, it was a fun experience, and Audigo definitely was key to that. And now in the Audigo app, there is reverb and
Yeah.
compression that you can add on there, but it's very basic. It's just either on or off. It's not you're not tuning it into the milliseconds and diving into all these
Right.
different things. It's just you want some compression, you push the little compression thing, and it works.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it's just nice to be able to be because I think especially what you're describing being on a cruise where you're relaxing, you're in your cabin, you've got the nice view, and you're not worried about a ton of technology. It just gets you really into that headspace of creating. You know what I mean? It's
Yes.
just it's yeah. I love the
Yeah.
tech the era that we live in, especially when it's simple and direct, because I think that comes through it in the tune and the performance. I think is that it's really organic, and the listener is the benefactor of that. You know, in a world of really precise things and overly complicated stuff, they probably the listener's not thinking about how it was recorded, but they're hearing something that they're attracted to because it's direct.
Yeah, yeah. And especially in today's world with AI and stuff, like,
Oh yeah,
there's these programs that are creating such perfect sounding mixes and producing songs that are just so perfect that I enjoy going back and listening to guitar players back from the 50s and stuff just because it was so raw and
yeah,
simple. And all the records that we grew up loving in the 60s and the 70s were still very raw with a lot of mistakes and a realness to them. And somewhere along the lines, I think in the 90s, and when uh, the recording became so precise and perfected, it definitely has taken some of the human realness out of it.
yeah, yeah. There's something. There are things that are gained in the sense of if you're an engineer and you have these options with Pro Tools and editing, and uh, a lot of different takes at your disposal and things that you can cut and paste. But at the same time, the spontaneity or sometimes you can kind of lose the impetus of what made you want to create the tune in the first place, because there's so much time between the initial idea and when it's complete.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's what we love about Jimi Hendrix. I mean, you
Right.
know,
Yeah.
can't imagine him recording Machine Gun, on Pro Tools and trying to
Yeah. Yeah.
copy and paste it. I mean, that performance of Machine Gun is just so scary good. And just like every time you hear it, you hear some new elements in it.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to me how much music is still coming out from Jimi Hendrix, from the improvised jamming that he was doing in the studio there and with his friends. They would be up all night just jamming him. They must have had an endless supply of reel-to-reel tape back then. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. It seemed like everywhere that he went, he was always trying to find a studio for a late night opportunity to, whether he's in New York with Eddie Kramer or wherever he was, he always seemed like that was the goal. Because as much as he loved the live performance, I think he really just enjoyed the studio and just creating that. That was just an extension of his musicality, trying to come up with really cool ideas.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, and Chas Chandler, they captured a lightning in a bottle on Are You Experienced, but then every record after that, you can tell he was really experimenting a lot in the studio.
Yeah,
And and you listen to Wind Cries Mary and the intro and how out of sync they are, and it's perfection, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's funny because I don't know where we went. Not everybody, but a lot of us we started at a place, and then like anybody, that you're inquisitive, so you get more. I know for myself, the things that I really loved in the beginning, Pink Floyd and James Gang, and I mean the guys like Joe Walsh and David Gilmour and Robin Trower were my guys. But then I got more interested in progressive rock, and then into fusion, and then things that were more produced, like 90125 by Yes, or things like that. And it got really, but then when you come full circle and get back into the things that got you started, you kind of, as a kid, it feels like home again. It's like, oh man, those were the things that really got me going. Were those early Joe Walsh recordings, or you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, the early Led Zeppelin records.
yeah,
But now the flip side though, to me, as greatly produced as those later records are, I mean, the technology hadn't taken over yet.
yeah,
They were still using analog tape, and those polished performances were actually still performances of guys playing,
yeah,
like Hotel California is perfection, but
oh yeah,
they practiced that, and they definitely honed that in. I mean, you
yeah,
know, so that's a point in time in the later 70s where the improvising and jamming got refined, and players really started really tightening up, and a lot of pre-production went into making records. And when Tesla made our first album, we were holed up in a barn with the producers for a few months before we even went in to record, and just
yeah.
practicing and using a Ghetto Blaster cassette tape to
Hmm.
record our rehearsals and listen back to them, and a lot of listening involved. And that's one of the things about guitar players that I think needs to be taught or figured out, is guitar players sometimes they don't listen to what they're playing.
Hmm.
So one of the tips I always try to give to guitar players when I'm giving lessons or whatever is really just take the time and listen before you even start shredding. Just listen to the chords, and listen to maybe a melody you're hearing in your head before you start just going crazy on the fretboard. And listen back when you record yourself, listen back to it and go, before you erase it or change it or do anything, listen, just listen. I'll
Yeah.
shut up now. I'm going to listen to you.
Yeah. I think that's the thing that, especially as you start, and maybe this was for you too when you were younger and you're starting to accumulate technique. It's when we would watch players that inspired us, whether it's Alvin Lee at Woodstock or if it's Hendrix at Monterey Pop, we kind of wonder what would it feel like to be able to play like. I mean, what does it physically feel like? Because you see somebody do it and you think, man, if I could just play like that, I wonder how it would sound, but what it would feel like under my fingers. And then when you start being able to do some of those things, you get so excited. You just want to keep doing that. So now it's less about your ears and more about look what my fingers can do. But to your point, that's exactly what you should do is listen for your space. And it's amazing what the vocal melody will provide to you if you just give some time and say, okay, how can I reinterpret the vocal melody to fit something interesting? And I always find that fun when I hear players at a jam or something that are quoting other songs, like a melodic thing. It's like, oh, okay, that's a melody from a Beatles tune. That's awesome. I love that. Or that, you're quoting maybe something a little tricky as far as a interesting time signature thing. It's like, oh, okay, that's really kind of cool. But it's melodic but interesting, and once rather than just flailing because your fingers are dictating, it's kind of the tail wagging the dog.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And some of the players you mentioned, like David Gilmour or Joe Walsh, or those are players that also sing. So they kind of maybe have that subconsciously already, the approach of playing more melodically and using the guitar more like a vocal than just a fretboard gymnastic.
Yeah.
So a lot of my favorite guitarists, like Jimi Hendrix or Joe Walsh, Peter Frampton, Rick Derringer, Frank Marino, they sing as well as play guitar.
Yeah.
And I think I've noticed those are my favorites, and I think they approach the guitar as a vocal when they do solos.
Yeah, which is interesting idea. There a question about that. When you were writing songs for Tesla, was it coming from a place of writing vocal melodies and lyrics and demoing whole songs and then bringing them to the band, or were you working with the vocalist in the group to try to put all that coming up with? Were you coming from a place of being a singer as well as a guitar player? I mean, was your singing coming up at the same time as your guitar playing?
Well, yes and no. On some songs that I was working on, I would have a vocal idea, and I would record a demo of it, but then other songs would just be riffs, and the band would get together and we would make demos of riffs and give it to the singer. In Tesla, our singer is very emotional and passionate about feeling everything he sings. So 99% of everything that Tesla has put out, our singer Jeff has written his own vocal melodies. Or if I did write a song that had a lyric idea or something, he would usually end up scrapping that and modifying it and turning it into his own thing, which I'm grateful he did, because he's very creative and he's taken any idea I've ever had and made it better for the band. Yeah. But Love Song, originally when I wrote that, I had a vocal idea, but it really wasn't very good. It was good enough for me at the time, but I learned that in a band situation, when you have a lead vocalist who's very passionate, it's best to let them take it and turn it into their own thing. But as a guitarist and a musician, yes, I have 50% of the time written songs with a vocal in my head, in mind. Not always the lyric, but the melody, definitely. And then lyrics are the hardest part
Yeah.
of songwriting. They can make or break a song, you know. But once in a while, I'll get a lyric that'll come to me out of the blue, and I'll have to do what I had mentioned to you earlier, is just immediately recognize it. Oh, there it is. I got to write this down, or I got to record this on my voice memo before I forget it. One example would be when Tesla broke up in the 90s. We broke up after a tumultuous time, and the last tour we had done was with Leonard Skinner, and in 1995, and we had gotten home, and I was strumming the guitar, and I don't know, is that working?
Yeah.
I was just sitting on the couch, really depressed, thinking about what we had just come off the Leonard Skinner tour, and the band was broke up, and I started thinking about how sweet it was, and so I wrote a song called Sweet Southern Sound. Sweet Southern Sound, won't you come back around? And I was like, ooh, I like that. I gotta keep that.
Yeah.
So I ended up writing a song about Southern rock music and how much fun we were having just the month prior to basically losing it all. And I wrote that song called Sweet Southern Sound in about 5 minutes. And it's on, I have a couple versions of it out on my different solo albums. So in that instance, a song will come to you from inspiration of how you're feeling.
Yeah.
And then in other cases, you'll have a riff, you know, like I had this riff. I had that riff for a long time, and I couldn't think of any words for it, and I recorded it and gave it to our singer, and he came up with words for it, and we made a song out of it, you know.
Yeah.
And back in the old days, in the 80s, when we were in high school, you know, myself and Tommy, the original guitarist, when we were kids, we'd get together and we would collaborate, and he would play me one of his riffs and I would play him one of my riffs. And if they were in the same key, we'd put them together.
Yeah.
That's how Modern Day Cowboy was written.
Oh, wow. Okay.
He had a rockin' riff in A, and I had another rockin' riff in A, and they just fit together really great. And we did that a lot with probably almost all of our songs on the first 2 albums.
Yeah. The cool thing about that, when you're young and you have somebody that you're collaborating with and your partner, especially somebody like Tommy, who would be a longtime band member, sometimes you come up with these ideas like the one that you just played me, and you may just kind of discard it. But the fact that you gave it to Jeff, and then sometimes we're so hard on ourselves as musicians, we just discount something. We give it to somebody close to us, and they hear the beauty in it, and they go, oh, I've got something. This will be on. And it gives you this whole new perspective on that thing that you were likely to just throw away or just forget about. And those are the exciting moments, because, you know, this song evolves and comes into this thing, and you never know what it's going to come from it. But all that to say, it's so great to have that collaborative spirit. And that's sometimes what diminishes over the years, whether it's your band having difficulties in the mid-90s or bands like Skinner, or every band seems to go through that thing where there's a united force pushing forward, and then there's these things sometimes beyond your control that equally pulls you apart. But when
it's true. It's true. It seems like with every band, really, that's had a long career. The first 10 years are phenomenal, creative-wise. Right, I mean, look at Van Halen or all of them, you know. The first 10 years of a band, and then they burn out, and maybe they break up, they get in fights, they have problems. Then they get back together, and then if they're lucky, like Tesla did, we had another 10 years of creating music, and we made an album called Into the Now, and you know, so it's like every 10 years, you know, if a band can survive those waves and keep creating. But yeah, it's true. There was something I was going to say about that. What you were talking about, the the self-editing. Yeah, the guitar players and musicians can be too critical right
Yeah.
off the gate. And I know so many great local musicians that have talent, but they don't ever record anything because they immediately start putting it down before
Yeah.
they document it.
Yeah.
And you got to record it and listen back and give it a chance and archive it, keep it. Like that one riff I had for a long time, and then it came back.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you said, maybe your partner will hear it differently. The other thing that I've noticed, um, that I've tried to refrain from making the mistake of doing, is comparing
Oh,
an
yeah.
idea that I have to something and then shooting it down because it might sound similar to something
Yeah.
else.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're all influenced and inspired by the music that came before us.
Yeah.
So we're definitely going to be inspired by something that might sound similar to a Leonard Skinner or a Rolling Stones or something. But that's okay because you're going to turn it into your own thing.
Yeah.
None of us have invented this really, unless you want to go back to the old days.
Right.
But so that would be my other advice to aspiring musicians: is don't critique and edit yourself and compare your
Yeah.
ideas to other things too quickly and stifle what might turn into a great song.
Yeah. I don't know who I heard make this quote, but it's very apropos for our discussion, is that it is not your job to be a critic. It has nothing to do with you being a critic. You just are supposed to create, and then things will happen and arrive, but it's not your job to decide if somebody's going to like it or not. You just get out there and you write and you create, and some things are going to land, some things are going to maybe be long, complicated bursts, but it's not your job. It never has been your job to be the critic. It's always your job to be the creator and just see
Yeah,
where it goes. Ultimately, the audience will let you know we love that, or they're like, I didn't like that as much. It was good, but and
that's true.
your
That's true.
bandmates will, and sometimes that's where the rub is, that sometimes the way bandmates will let you, in the first 10 years when everybody's pushing in the same direction, there's a lot more empathy, but then all those years on the road and holiday inns and all the difficulties and strained relationships, there's infighting, and that fucking sucks, and there's battles over
Yeah,
things where
bands
there
are
shouldn't
tough.
be.
Bands are
Yeah.
tough,
Yeah.
definitely. And so many of them aren't around anymore, and
Yeah.
so many of them break up. Tesla will be celebrating 40 years
That's amazing.
of our first album, and 5 years before that, we were in the clubs hammering it out, trying to get noticed, and so 45 years almost of doing this, and it's not easy. It's tough, and you got to learn to support each other, like you're saying. And you
Yeah.
do go through periods where everyone is on different pages,
Yeah.
but yeah, supporting each other musically and not being too critical is key.
Yeah. And I'm sure you, with all the bands that perhaps opened for you, or the bands that you opened for, you're out there on the road, you're able to kind of see kind of behind it's kind of illuminating to realize, yeah, those bands are having those difficulties, or conversely, you can really be like, wow, that's an admirable way of handling those difficulties. I think about a band like Rush and the fact that they were together for that long with very little acrimony. I mean, it was obvious that Neil hated touring for the most part, but he knew it was a necessary evil. But the fact that they were able to do it for so long is an amazing. And for you guys, I mean, for 45 years, that's amazing. So it's kind of, it'd be interesting to hear if there's some bands that you that mentored you, or bands that you mentored.
Well, yeah. Def Leppard was always like a great example for us. They went through a lot of tragedy and a lot of
Oh yeah, for
different
sure.
changes, and we opened for them a lot in the very beginning. They were like big brothers to us on the Q Prime management front. We were managed by the same management team back in
Yeah.
1987, and we saw how they interacted and how they treated us. They gave us sound checks. They always were like big brothers to us. They gifted us some Tascam 4-track cassette tapes, and when we were getting ready to make our second album,
Oh wow.
they gave each guy in the band a gift of a little cassette recorder to make demos with. So
Yeah,
they were very much mentors to us
that's
uh,
awesome.
early on before our first record. Now, when I say 45 years, I'm talking about 40 years is when our first
Yeah,
album was
album came out.
released in 1986, and I can't believe we're in 2026 now. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But before that, Ronnie Montrose was a mentor to us, and again taught us to record and listen and record. Recording was definitely and is the key to that separates guitar players and from being successful or not. You have to learn to record yourself and record your ideas and create recordings. And we were very fortunate that Ronnie Montrose and Def Leppard, they would give us they would talk to us about their experiences with Mutt Lange in the studio,
Yeah.
and and Steve Thompson and Michael Barbiero were the producers of our first 4 albums, and they were mentors to us. And again, in the studio, learning to record and listen.
Yeah, what amazing pedigrees both of those guys. I mean, what a wonderful team to have assembled at that point. Because if all of you guys are writing, plus you have that team on the production end, that's a very powerful combination.
Well, when I look back on my career, I was only 19, 20 years old at that
Mhm.
time, just a kid, and not really realizing all these really cool things that were happening, collaborations and working with producers, going to New York, going to Bearsville Studio, opening for Def Leppard and Alice Cooper, and doing all these different tours one after the other. It was a different time back then, and looking back on it, I'm just like, wow, did that really happen? And it did, and it's in the same time frame also writing songs and contributing music to create songs that still get an audience going today in concert. Whenever I play just something so simple, it's so simple, and it's something that I wrote in the middle of the night, but
Yeah,
in concert 40 years later, the crowd still cheers for it, and that's really
yeah,
mind-boggling to me.
yeah. I can't tell you, as somebody that's been teaching guitar for 40 years, I can't tell you the number of times I've written that out for students, and it's one of the great pieces for folk that are looking, especially when you're a young beginner intermediate guitar player that wants to get into something that is going to allow. It's like a gateway to see all sorts of possibilities with doing fingerstyle stuff and counterpoint, and it's just a beautiful piece. And
Oh,
that
thanks, man.
it's one of
And
those
it's
things you.
actually a lot easier than it sounds.
But
Usually the easy things are the best things.
yeah, the number of times that you're asked once you've been playing for a while, especially at a party or a gathering, hey, play us something. Eruption doesn't translate as well, and that's a bit daunting for any intermediate player. But you pick up a guitar and play the intro to love song. It's just besides the fact that everybody loves that, it's kind of like anthemic. Um, it just feels so good to have something that's a party piece. Like, check this out. You go from that maybe into D and then into Midsummer Daydream by Triumph or whatever, but I know so many guitar players that was their first foray into something like that. And it was
Oh
just,
gosh,
there
well
was no
that
turning
feels
back.
great to know that that it's brought some joy to somebody on a guitar.
Oh yeah, it's great. And that's one of the many byproducts of being a legacy group is to look back and all the inspiration that you've given to fans, but to the number of guitar players that you and Tommy and your other guitar players have, inspired to pick up the guitar. That's a beautiful gift that
Oh
you've
well,
given everybody.
thanks a lot. And I'll tell you about that. A little story is I had originally I had been recording at home, and the record was done, and Michael Barbiero was a really big help to me because like I said, I was a young guy. I was really shy, kind of, and scared in the studio in New York,
Hmm.
because the clock was always running, and the
Yeah.
money was ticking. And so Michael would say, "Hey Frank, I know you love to record at home, so go home and record some stuff and mail it to me, and I'll fly it into the mix." So
Okay.
that love song thing was recorded at home in a local studio here that I did in my hometown, and I sent it to him in the mail, and he added it to the song.
Oh wow.
And the same goes for my Little Susie intro. I have another little acoustic thing that's on Little Susie. It's on my first album.
Mhm.
The same thing I recorded. I was too nervous in the studio in New York to be able to play it.
Yeah.
I could hear it in my head, but I couldn't play that finger picking style really yet.
Yeah.
And everyone was looking at their watch going, "Hey, we're out of time. We're out of
Yeah.
time."
Yeah. Right.
So Michael Barbiero, bless his heart, he would give me a tap on the shoulder and go home and record it and mail it to me.
Yeah.
So that's what I would do.
Yeah.
And on Love Song, I had originally had this I was really into finger picking, and I was trying to
Yeah.
do this thing that goes like this. I could barely play it now, much less 40 years ago.
Yeah. Sounds
But
great.
I did it over and over and over again, and I got so frustrated. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to scrap that idea, and I'm just going to do something really simple. And the D major to A to B minor is one of my favorite chord changes. I used it on another Tesla song, and so I just started at 4 in the morning, just
Hmm.
kind of sitting on the couch, just kind of reflecting the mood I was in, kind
Hmm.
of a melancholy, I call it.
Yeah.
And ended up recording it in a matter of minutes at my friend's studio in Lodi, and I mailed it to them, and they put it on the record. I
Yeah.
layered a couple parts on it. Once I got the bed of it, then
Yeah.
it was in D major, so I did a little D major,
Yeah.
a little overdub D major scale thing, and colored it up a little bit. And that's what you end up hearing on the Tesla album.
Yeah.
But again, if I try to do something that's too difficult,
Hmm.
I've learned to stop doing that and simplify it.
Yeah.
And another riff that I have that's very simple is very simple riff that came at 4 in the morning in a melancholy mood.
Yeah.
And that one sat around for a while, and then Jeff came up with the lyrics for it.
Yeah.
But
You wouldn't be out of line comparing the timelessness of that to like a CCR tune or something that's just when you hear
wow,
from
thank
the
you.
first couple
That's
minutes or the first couple notes that you hear, you go, "Oh yeah, okay, I love this song." It's one of those things that instantly grabs you, and it speaks to what you're saying is that sometimes it's the simplicity and just allowing things to arrive without being too overly ornate or complicated.
yeah, yeah. And those notes reflect the mood that I was feeling at the time.
Yeah.
So that emotion is heard and felt in the simple notes there, and it's easier to hear them when there's less of them.
Right. Well, and
But
that's a very
it wasn't like
poignant.
planned. It wasn't like, okay, I'm going to write something simple. It was just,
Yeah.
it just had that feeling of what was going on at the time in the middle of the night. They're sitting on the couch, just kind of questioning what's going on in my life, you know?
Yeah. But it's a very poignant observation that the the guitar player in us wants to do something impressive or exciting, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the musician in us, when we think about, just like you said, just making it not as difficult and maybe more direct, music lovers, they want that.
Yeah.
They want something to connect to. They don't really care if it's overly complex. They just want something. When there's a marriage of melody, great lyrics, and like a simple guitar part, that's like magic.
Well, the guitar and the fretboard too. Here's another concept, is that there's multiple ways of playing the
Yeah.
same thing. And I've been recently trying to learn a lot of jazz standards, you know, just to
Mhm.
occupy my time and try to develop some new language on the guitar. And jazz, there's so many odd chords that require so much weird fingerings.
Yeah.
And I find that, well, I play more simplistic like a caveman. So like if I'm going to play a minor chord, I'll use my thumb and just
Yeah.
one finger, as opposed to the crazy fingering. So I've been learning this old you know, I think it's called Play Misty for Me or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
Misty. Yeah. That's great.
and anyway, I've been finding my own way of, anyway, it's not correct yet. I'm still trying to learn it. My point is I'm trying to find my own way of playing the
Yeah.
chords instead of trying to learn the crazy Joe Pass chords that I'll probably never get in a lifetime, you know? So there's
Yeah.
no rules, and just make it sound good.
Yeah.
Whether it's your own way of playing it with your thumb, playing it backwards, playing it with one finger, just the
Yeah.
goal is to make it sound decent.
Yeah. And just getting the joy out of just having other colors in your paint box.
Yeah, yeah, and dabble with different styles. And right now I'm on a jazz kick. I'm really going back to Kenny Burrell and
Oh my gosh.
Joe Pass, and I'm
Great
trying
stuff.
to learn chord melody
Hmm.
and the different inversions of chords, you know.
Yeah.
And it's never too late to learn. You never stop learning with
That's
guitar,
right.
and that's what I love about it. And
Yeah.
if you need to escape and get out of what's going on in your life, just pick up a guitar and try to learn some jazz.
Yeah,
That'll
for
take
sure.
you to another place.
Yeah. I was blessed to meet Stevie Ray Vaughan in 1988 in Cincinnati backstage at one of his shows, and he recommended that I listen to Donny Hathaway live and Kenny Burrell Midnight Blue. He said Kenny Burrell is the perfect marriage of blues and jazz. He's never too
Yes,
jazz, he's never too blues, but it's just that's one of my favorite albums to this day.
I love it. Yeah, it's a good. And Jim Hall is another one.
Yeah, yeah,
I think there's a guy named Johnny Smith. I've been going down the
yeah,
rabbit hole of these guys from the
yeah,
early 60s, late 50s guitar players. And just like with any player, whether it's metal or
yeah.
whatever, you're going to get guys that just play way too much. And then you're going to get,
Right.
you know, so I like them when they're a little bit easier to comprehend and they mix the blues and the jazz together.
Yeah.
I think there's another guy, Grant Green, I believe is his name.
Oh yeah, he was a big inspiration, and also from Pittsburgh. Like George Benson was a huge Grant Green devotee.
Yeah, and then of course you got Wes Montgomery, and
Oh my
but then
gosh,
when
yeah,
you get into Wes Montgomery and Joe Pass and guys like that,
Oh yeah.
They are playing so much. It's so much information I can't grasp it. So yeah, I lean more towards the Kenny Burrells and the guys
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
mix in a little bit more of the blues and you had mentioned Alvin Lee. And I love rockabilly too, like
Oh yeah.
Brian
Yeah.
Setzer and Alvin Lee and rockabilly guitar is really
Yeah.
a cool thing to learn.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a great. It's just so much fun it's, it's hard to have a bad day when you're listening to music like that, whether it's old Eddie Cochran or Gene Vincent or, you know, some of the stuff that Brian Setzer's done. Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah, yeah. And when you break down and try to learn it, it's really cool because I've found recently in the dressing room I've been warming up, trying to play some of these jazz standards like Satin Doll or Autumn Leaves or Misty, and playing these odd chords. And then when Tesla hits the stage, after I'd been in my dressing room doing that, all of a sudden our riffs are just flowing really easy because my fingers are all warmed up. And my brain has gotten out of the box, you know?
Yeah. It's just fun to expose yourself to things that you wouldn't normally, because you just don't know how that's going to inform the next tune that you write, or just having something that gets you away from what you normally are. It's good for the brain, to keep you nimble and to keep you excited about playing.
And there's so many great players out there on YouTube and on Instagram. Jonathan Stout is one that I discovered.
Yeah.
Recently on YouTube. There's a guy on Instagram, Chris Whiteman, I believe is his name. And you can learn so much. And like I had mentioned on a guitar, there's 12 different ways of playing the same thing. Well, there's 12 different guys out there playing the same song differently.
Yeah.
So
right.
You can watch one guy play a song a certain way and take something and learn, oh, I see how he's doing that. Or then you see another guy playing it completely different and go, oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
We're back when we were kids, it was all about listening to that turntable, and trying to learn by ear. We didn't have YouTube or any of that stuff.
Yeah, which I think was a great blessing because, pre-tablature, pre-internet, pre-YouTube, when you're just sitting there with a cassette or the album, even if you couldn't play it exactly right, it led you down areas that maybe forged your style in a way that you wouldn't have gotten to otherwise. Because I remember reading things, and it made sense for me too, that guys developed their style as a result of it was their limitation of what they couldn't do, but they were reaching for something. Maybe they were trying to work on Van Halen or whomever it might be, but it informs your style. What you can't do, you're kind of the sum of all your influences, and you take it as far as you can, but then eventually you arrive at having a little bit of Pat Travers, a little bit of Rick Derringer, a little bit of Joe Perry, Joe Walsh, whomever it might be,
Yeah. Yep. And my favorite albums by all of those were the live albums.
The live,
live bootleg, the Derringer live, the Robin Trower live. And those albums, the live albums from those guitar players were definitely the huge influence. And also back then, unless you were lucky enough to see Don Kirshner's rock concert in the middle of the night,
right?
You had to go out to a club or to a party. Yeah. Someone's house had a band playing in the garage, and see it live.
Right.
And I learned so much by going out to bars with my mom. She used to take me to this blues club where Little Charlie and the Nightcats would be playing, and I couldn't get in, but I would just stand outside the front door and I could see in the window and I could hear Little Charlie playing that jumping blues. And that was such a learning experience and an inspiration, because there's nothing that beats that live energy of a band playing live. Even if you're like in your neighborhood and you can hear a band practicing in their garage, what do you want to do? You want to walk down the street and go see what they're doing because it draws you,
Yeah. I wore out Mahogany Rush live. Frank Marino just blew my mind. I was like, oh my gosh, who is this guy?
Oh, me too. Yeah, the Mahogany Rush live album, and he was on Cal Jam 78 on TV.
Yeah.
And oh, what a great sounding album. Yeah. Talking about a feeling and King Bee and Dragonfly.
Yeah. Dragonfly. Yeah. Amazing stuff.
I had the opportunity to meet Frank Marino when Tesla was on tour in Canada. Mm-hmm. We went up to Montreal and Quebec, and his brother invited me to come over and have pizza with him. And I was just so much a fan of Frank Marino, but he was such a cool guy and had us over for dinner, and it was really cool.
Yeah. Fantastic. Awesome. Thank you so much, man. That was perfect. What a great conversation.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, John. Text me or shoot me an email and we'll be in touch.
Sounds great, man. Have a great week.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. That was my conversation with Frank Hannon of Tesla here on the Guitar Hang podcast. Be sure to check out his new instrumental album, Reflections, and the latest single, San Francisco. Today's episode was also sponsored in part by the Woodshed Guitar Experience. If you're interested in attending, listeners of the Guitar Hang podcast can use promo code GuitarHang300 to receive $300 off the admission price. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with fellow guitar players. Thanks for listening as always. Keep playing, keep chasing great tone. Thanks so much.